Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Have you ever seen a tiny, seemingly insignificant interface update fundamentally transform a company's entire macroeconomic destiny? We so often think that massive pivots require complete overhauls, millions of dollars in new development, and years of rebuilding. But today, we're actually going to map out how one of the most profound strategic shifts literally comes down to editing a single line of text on a platform. We're going to explore exactly how Phamon is executing this brilliant macro evolution, shifting from a specialized tool into something vastly, vastly larger.
So here is the big question we're going to answer today. How does adding exactly 3 letters to a drop-down menu unlock a $10 trillion market? I mean, if you're an executive, an investor, or a platform strategist, you know that scale and strategic leverage are absolutely everything. But finding that leverage, well, that's incredibly difficult. So we are going to look at a masterclass in signaling, positioning, and infrastructure utilization that completely alters a company's trajectory and their valuation ceiling. And the crazy part? It all starts with a tiny UI update.
Okay, let's get right into part 1, the one-word revolution.
Okay, let's dive into this. Originally, Phamon was built as a highly sophisticated B2B trade exchange specifically for the automotive aftermarket. It featured 16 distinct categories for things like engines, brakes, electrical systems, you get the idea. And at the very bottom of that list, they had this catch-all category simply labeled Other. Now think about it. If you're a packaging company or a chemical manufacturer, that word Other basically signals that you don't belong there. It's just for random car parts. But by adding exactly 3 letters to make it Other B2B inventory, Phamon sends a very deliberate commercial invitation. It totally changes the category from a dusty storage closet into an open trading floor built specifically for literally any industry's needs.
Moving right along to part 2, dead capital to liquid currency. Let's think about a core problem every business faces for a second. Dead capital. Inventory, tying up cash in a warehouse while your operational expenses still absolutely need to be paid. Let's look at how this changes for Nitin. He's a sales manager at a company called Lubrix, which produces high-volume lubricants. Nitin's company runs a massive fleet of trucks, meaning tires are a huge, recurring overhead expense. But instead of spending actual cash to buy those tires, Nitin lists his surplus oil drums on Phamon. The platform's negotiation engine matches him up with a partner, and they agree on to trade value. Boom, Nitin receives the TBR tires for his fleet. He covers his overhead, and he hits his sales targets, all without using a single cent of cash.
We actually call this cashless procurement. It's the ability to acquire necessary operational expenses by trading your existing sales inventory at an agreed value. Now, what's really interesting here is the secret mechanism making it all happen, the negotiation engine. This counteroffer and negotiation system, it's Phamon's most valuable moat, hands down. It's what makes intercategory trades, like seamlessly swapping oil drums for heavy-duty tires, completely possible today. It's not just a digital bulletin board. It's a deeply dynamic financial tool.
All right, part 3, the universal B2B wildcard.
Because of this wildcard category we've been talking about, entirely new assets instantly become tradable. We're talking packaging, chemicals, construction materials, electronics, agricultural equipment, and heavy machinery. By grouping these highly diverse, non-automotive assets together, global traders can easily exchange them. And because the platform verifies the parties, executes the smart contracts, and provides that amazing negotiation engine, these assets instantly enter the ecosystem as legitimate, liquid currency. It's a real game changer.
Now, Phamon actually already had the perfect operational bridge built into their system from the start, the lubricants and fluids category. Think about it. Every industrial company on Earth, whether in mining, construction, logistics, agriculture, or manufacturing, they all use lubricants. They all have inventory, and they all need things. So an existing category acts as the bridge connecting automotive to the broader industrial world, and the new wildcard category acts as the destination. Any business with dead capital can now clearly see themselves as a legitimate participant in this exchange.
Which brings us to part 4, a $10 trillion beachhead.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive paradigm shift here. It shifts our entire understanding of what Phamon actually is. It reveals that the automotive sector was merely the Trojan horse, just the beachhead entry point. The old Phamon positioned itself as a B2B automotive aftermarket trade exchange, basically a niche software tool. But the new Phamon, which is unlocked by this protocol-first operational reality, is a universal B2B inventory liquidity platform. It's a category-defining infrastructure protocol. And this exact shift, proving scalable global adoption, is what suddenly attracts the attention of high-value, non-automotive institutional investors.
To really put that into perspective, let's talk numbers and market ceiling. When the platform was strictly serving the global automotive aftermarket, the absolute ceiling for their total addressable market, their TAM, was $400 billion. Now, $400 billion is a massive number for sure, but for institutional investors, it's still a capped industry-specific ceiling. The revenue potential is essentially bottlenecked by the size of one very specific market.
But let's move to and see how this builds when we apply that wild card. By expanding to cross-category B2B inventory exchange, the addressable market blossoms into the global B2B trade and inventory management market. And that is $10 trillion, plus $10 trillion. Every single company on Earth that holds inventory and needs something else is now a potential user. That is an order of magnitude expansion. There is virtually no ceiling here.
Okay, let's look at part 5, validating the upgraded valuation.
If you're a founder or an executive, you know a narrative is only as good as the math behind it, so let's break it down. The original MVP with its standard features justified a pre-seed valuation of roughly $950K to $1.5 million. But consider the distinct layers this strategic expansion adds. The proven cross-category trade capability, that adds up to $400K. The expanded $10 trillion TAM narrative, that adds up to $600K. The universal B2B positioning, that adds another $300K. And because these product changes are operational right now today, it provides the absolute financial proof to justify a revised pre-seed valuation jumping to between $1.6 and $2.8 million.
So why does this actually hold up in a tough investor due diligence meeting? Well, there are 3 absolutely crucial defensibility factors. First, the cross-category capability is live and operational right now. It's not some fuzzy future roadmap promise. The other B2B inventory and lubricants categories already exist and function. Second, the platform depth actually matches the narrative. It's fully built to handle complex, cross-border, customs-ready data. And third, zero extra development cost is required to support this expanded positioning. What Phamon has effectively done is dress a highly mature Series A narrative neatly inside a pre-seed platform.
Ultimately, the whole shebang comes down to this single drop-the-mic realization. By simply adding the word B2B to a drop-down menu, Phamon stopped being just a parts catalog and became a universal liquidity protocol. They basically sent a message to every warehouse manager, every sales director, and every CFO on the planet saying, your inventory is your currency, regardless of what it is. So, as you look at your own business operations today, I'll leave you with this to chew on. How much dead capital are you sitting on right now? And what could your business achieve if you suddenly realized it was actually liquid cash? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.